Moving on swiftly to another batch of people who probably need reprimanding. It is these Caucasians. The Caucasians who have decided that they will do many, many bad things to women, including beating them and harassing them. We've seen a video that was running around this week, actually, of a woman who was trying to grapple and fight a white man in the car. And he was like, call the police. And she's like, they don't know you. They don't know you. In case you haven't seen that video, you really need to go out there and look for it.
Wow.
And this goes to show that, honestly, you don't need to run for a white man. Oh. A white man can be just as bad as your local man. And when I say this, I digress and I get into the story, which is Amber Ray. Now, Amber Ray has been a source of controversy for a very long time, but I love the fact that this time she actually did come out and say that it's not always, rose-colored glasses in her life. She has gone through a bit of a hustle. Now, according to her, she says that she met this man who she fell in love with when they were both Hazoras. She said that they met and they fell in love and they started to have a family together. In fact, they moved in together and then they got a baby together. But she thought the Jay-Z and Beyonce story had started. It was not the case. In this small apartment of theirs where they lived, she said it was a single room, this man started to become a little too volatile. It became a thing of she got a job, he got a job, and he was earning little money. And he started to do the thing that men who have not had a chance to make money in life do immediately. They get cash. They get exposed to all of these hot babes, and immediately all the hot babes are available to them. They start to become available to these women, and he started cheating on her. It got so bad that he would lock the house and he would go away with the key. He would be in cahoots with the landlord such that the landlord wouldn't open the door for Amber when she tried to get into the house. It got so bad that at one point she actually did come home a little late, and he refused to open the door for her. This was like around 12 midnight. He refused to open the door. And when eventually, it's another sad situation, he did open the door, started asking her where she was, started beating her. In fact, and then she made me laugh when she said that in as much as he's beating her and, battering her, beating her blue-black, she is also not quiet. She is seeing him. And I'm tusi akichapwa. And that is not funny. It actually is a bad situation if you think about it. But, at least she tried to defend herself with words, not physically. But it got so bad that at some point now her brother came in and intervened in the whole situation. And she had to go back home, and she was just like, you know what, guys, it was pretty bad. She was beaten. She started missing out on work. She'd go places and she'd say she was robbed or she was beaten by thugs, but it was her man who was beating her. She had these black eyes. She stopped going to work because obviously it looks really bad when you're going to work and you look a little too red, a little too swollen in the face. So she lost her job, but eventually she did leave the relationship, but it was not the happiest state when she was leaving that relationship, which goes to show, guys, simply because you think someone's life is rosy, it's not. It's not always the case. I might be living large in my house in Kitisuru, but when I get into my house in Kitisuru, I'm manifesting a house in Kisuru, by the way, guys. I'm manifesting a house in Kisuru. So as much as you are living in Kisuru or these posh places, it doesn't mean that you're going through the rosiest of situations. Some men are truly animals, and in her case, he was very, very horrible to her. And it leads to the question, do you honestly feel like it's justified simply because someone is a little rough on the edges? It is justified for you to inflict discipline upon them in a manner that is this vile? Do you feel like, because I feel like a lot of people in this country are like, she's also, ndio atulie. Do you think that that is a narrative that we need to start propelling in our country? Because honestly, I am so against it, but I want to know from you who passed this notion around, that because you've had it in estates, you've had it in your ploti. Huyo mama chapwe, anakuanga na kiherehere mingi sana. Alikuwa anakuja nyumbani saa sita akitoka wapi, stuff like that. So you're justifying the bad deeds of the man, and I don't know. What do you think about this story? The number is 0777293366.
Yeah, first things first, I love Amber Ray. Despite the scandals, despite everything, there's just something about her that you have to love. You cannot hate her. Even if you hated her, you'd still follow her. You'd still keep up with Amber. It's just a vibe, an energy. You just want to hang out with her and be friends with her.
Hallelujah.
Exactly. It's just the person she is. And for her to just be vulnerable and just tell us this story, because we know her as living her best life. doing the scandals and this and this and that. But, you know, just to be in that vulnerable space and talk about her baby daddy. And, you know, regardless of all of that, he is still in his, you know, child's life. He is very active in his child's life. But let me tell you, men will do you dirt. And this is why I say, whatever you do, don't date around where you grew up. Because if you date where you grew up, you will move out and move to, you know, the next area. You know, in a planet with 8 billion people, why are you convinced that your neighbor is your soulmate? It could have just been a crash, you know. Let it stay a crash and let it just end there. But beyond that, do not. And let me tell you, this like childhood crushes, I had such an experience, you know, those childhood crushes. And then we reconnected when we were adults. And then just seeing them in another light because, you know, you've experienced the world, you've experienced other things. All of a sudden I was like, why was this man so attractive to me when I was younger, you know? So once you just get out of your village and see better, you get better, you know?
It's true. And the fact that she still got herself out of that situation. Imagine Ambare selling matumbo.
Hey.
That woman, the way she looks, imagine her on the street selling you matumbo. Begging taxi people to take her home. It's insane. It's insane.
Girl,
it's insane.
I have done some shady jobs. I used to do those promo things.
Okay, I did that
Let
too.
me tell you, some of you are very rude to these promo babes.
You are.
And you don't know the way the previous night I live in Dagoretti, I was called at 9 p.m. and told I am going to Ananas Mall. You know, no transport, no nothing. And if you don't go, imagine. And if you don't go, there's another babe who is willing
and ready.
Atapigiwa simu akiwa ametoka nje. So, you know,
Yeah.
I have done some very, you know, hard jobs in the past.
It's tough.
Yeah, just to be independent. So when you see somebody shining and glowing, don't just assume, ni mbaba. We've been through it.
Na hata kama ni mbaba, is it your business?
Exactly. You know, I would not want to go back to that space ever. Ever. I hated it. And now let's move on to people who need to be called out a little bit more, you know, regardless of their status and how people perceive them. The Bahatis have more negative news than actually positive news.
True.
Yeah, and it's just fact, and you need to just say it as it is.